Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another pre-market watch list here today. Thank you guys again for tuning in. As always, we're going to go ahead and we're going to wait just a few minutes till we get a few more people in here today on the stream, and then we'll get rocking and rolling as we usually do. Today's watch list, as far as my main focus or my main stocks to trade, is going to be fairly small. Just Tesla, TLRY, and Netflix. But the overall watch list has quite a few stocks on it. We got started about 8:30 today, so we should have some more time to look over some things. But good morning, Theo, or the Zoo, sorry, Marcus, Mr. Eric K, Steven, that fish guy, Fred, higher self talking about Fred. So, yeah, there's a few stocks we're going to cover today. Not crazy about Fred. Well, maybe. I did discuss Fred a little earlier, but I'll go into details about why I'm not that crazy about it in a little bit here. All right, so when we get about 100 people in here on the stream, we'll get going. So we're at about 80, so you got to wake everybody else up. But again, today's main focus is going to be the stock TLRY, Netflix, and Tesla. And then I'll also be talking about, briefly touching on just a few other stocks here today that I think are going to be good. The market's gapping up today, so majority of what I'm going to be focusing on is all going to be long plays. If I were short bias on a trade, it would have to be a really good setup today, or it would have to be geared towards a scalp trade specifically, okay? And we just broke 100, so we're going to get going here, guys. All right, so here we are. So moving forward, all right, so here you guys go. Here are all the stocks as far as the stocks that are gapping up. So you can go ahead and take a screenshot of this or write down the stocks gapping up and down. To be completely honest with you, since earnings are over, we're going into a slower period of trading where you're not going to be seeing as many stocks gapping up and down so big. Majority of the earnings season has taken place. We still have a few stragglers, few companies coming out with earnings this week and probably a few next week. But it's, in terms of, the bulk of it, earnings season has, this particular earnings season quarter kind of has passed, right? So there's going to be a few earnings plays coming up, but majority of them are gone. So what that means is you're going to see some slower, or I don't want to say slower, but you're not going to see as many stocks gapping up. So you're not going to have as easy of plays as we normally would have. So now it comes down to having a little bit more technical analysis behind our stock picks, essentially. All right. All right. And then as you can see here at the top of the screen, right, you have it right at the top of the screen. You have all the stocks that I'll be watching today. So the entire watch list today is TLRY, Netflix, Tesla, Cron, DLTR, Lululemon, and CLDR. Those are all the watch lists, or all the stocks that are currently on my radar. My main focus is just Tesla and TLRY. All right, so feel free to look at the top of the screen there and write down those tickers, as well as those will be kind of my whole watch list today. All right, so I'll give you guys just a few more seconds to write that down. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, Andrew, Onion Head, Da Pickle. What's up, Da Pickle? All right, guys, so we're going to move over into our next line of business, which is sharing the screen and looking at some stocks. All right, guys, so first one on my watch list here is going to be TLRY. Oh, I knew it. I knew I should have bought it pre-market. Damn it. All right, so TLRY is starting to move, and I was actually going to buy this pre-market and then didn't, so that's kind of my bad. But anyways, all right, so if you look at this chart here on TLRY, from the high at 97 coming down, it's starting to break over this downward trend line resistance, and I actually meant to buy this pre-market, but clearly, as you can see, that time has kind of passed me while I was creating this stream. But so as you can see here, this is the 180-day time frame or chart. TLRY popped to a high of $97.36 not too long ago. It pulled back, went through a consolidation. It held a nice support down here. and now it's curling up and over this trend line. So I do believe we're going to see a nice break to the upside on TLRY. So with this breaking down, curling up and over, do believe we're going to see a nice break to the upside on TLRY. So that is going to be one of my main plays here for the day. Now, in terms of how high it could get, it has some resistance here right at $85. It's got a nice resistance there, $85. So if it can break over $85, we should see a nice push to the upside. If it breaks over 85, you're going to kind of run into some resistance right in this $89 to $87 area. If it can break up from there, we might even see highs of 97 today. There's no guarantee on just how high this will go, but it is in a bullish manner where we should see an upside move on TLRY today. So we'll be watching TLRY. The $85 mark is specifically kind of a key level to watch for there. All right. So moving on from TLRY, we'll talk next on, we'll look at Netflix. All right, so Netflix, like, I'm not super crazy about, but I think it has some potential. So that's why I'm kind of keeping it as a main watch. So if we look at Tesla here on this yearly chart, you'll see it, you know, we know Tesla but Netflix. We know Netflix bounced quite a while back, went through a nice rip, then it pulled back, and now it's kind of finding some support around 339. So looking at, let's just do a 20-day chart. It doesn't look as good anymore, but all right, so if we'll go back to this 20-day chart. So if you look at this 20-day chart, Netflix kind of had this drop, bounce, drop again, bounce, and now it's performing a higher low, which makes me think that we're actually going to cup up and we're going to go for a long play today to start even possibly pushing up towards 376. So I do have a bullish outlook on Netflix today. Ideally, what I would like to have happen or see happen here for me to want to buy Netflix is I would like to see Netflix kind of pull back out of the gates and hold the support of, you know, like 351. I would say if it can hold a support around 351, if it pulls back, holds 351, it might be good for a long bias trade. But I don't necessarily see Netflix as a short trade today. I know we bounced and we could be doing a rollover, but just something about it just seems pretty strong. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Netflix actually recover and push to the upside. So kind of watching Netflix to break over this trend line that I have just drawn from Friday's high down across the pre-market area right here into this resistance. So we'll see. So kind of looking for Netflix to hold a support around 351 and then start reversing back to the upside. All right, that's Netflix. Moving on to our next one will be Tesla. All right, so Tesla is one that is kind of on my watch. Now, everybody knows with the news that went out, I did a thing about it the other day. So I'm actually long biased on Netflix for right now, and that bias could easily flip in a matter of seconds. But considering Netflix has been dropping from 387 all the way down to a low of 270, so it's basically down about $100 a share, I do think it is kind of time to see it have a nice bounce. But I don't necessarily see it as a good long-term area to buy just yet because we do have earnings coming up in about a month and a half or so, give or take. About a month and a half, a little more than a month and a half, we have earnings coming out for Tesla. So unless Tesla can really prove profitability by this next quarter report, I wouldn't be buying it in terms of like a long-term swing trade or long-term position. Right now, I see Netflix more of as a day trade and short-term swing trading stock after the news break and things like that. So here's the deal with Netflix or Tesla. Let's do a 5-day chart. So here's the deal with Tesla. After that big drop, right, you can see we had a nice little bounce. We're gapping up pre-market. Here's the thing. Tesla is coming up to resistance. Like this whole 370 or 275 area on Tesla is resistance. Okay, so if all the stars align and enough buyers are coming in on this, then we would see Tesla move higher. But right now, we're actually entering into more of a kind of a resistance spot, right? I mean, if I were to draw let me go back here a little bit. All right, so if I go all the way back to like right here. So this is the point I'm focusing on right there, that point. If you were to go straight across, that's kind of exactly where Tesla's holding up right now pre-market. So it really needs to start pushing up towards like 373, 374 here pre-market, and then we'll probably see a nice pop on Netflix. So I do think I keep saying Netflix, apologize. So I do see potential for Tesla today to the long side. I know a lot of people with the news, right? And then the people leaving, you could be thinking, how is Tesla going to be a long? And, the news was very big. It was so big that it caused Tesla to drop from 281 to 252 the other day. All right. So that was a big move, right? It doesn't necessarily need to move lower right now. Since it's dropped from all the way from like 381 down to 250, I see it more of as a bounce and a short squeeze play than I do necessarily short play right now. So I will be watching Tesla to the long side today as well. Right now, pre-market, Tesla is kind of trending up, so we're just going to kind of watch it, see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised. I do believe we're going to see Tesla pop to the upside here in just a second. It's just got to get over this trend line resistance. And there's not too much volume going on pre-market, but as many of you know, when the market opens, we're going to pick up in volume. So if Tesla can get up to 375, over 375, and maybe into the 280s, we should see a big push on it, I believe. So definitely going to be keeping Tesla on a very, very strong watch here. Oh, Jared, I always say Netflix when I mean Tesla, because I trade those two so often that they just kind of become intermixed in my talking. And I talk so much all the time about stocks that they just all become one eventually, So that's my main watch list right there. Okay. Does anybody have any questions here on YouTube regarding those three stocks that I mentioned on the watch list? So I'll give you guys just a few seconds to kind of send through some questions or comments that you might have on those particular three stocks. Then once we've kind of gone over those questions, I will then touch briefly on all the rest of the stocks that I'll be watching here today or that are on my secondary watch list. So I'll give you guys just a few minutes here. So if you guys do have some questions, feel free on YouTube and ask them right now. We will be talking about DLTR here in just a second to pickle. ANET is not Netflix, Tesla, or TLRY. BECN is not Netflix, Tesla, or TLRY. Any opinion for Netflix options? Well, if I were long biased on the stock, then, let me put it this way. If I were trading options on Netflix and I myself am long biased, then I'd be looking at getting calls on Netflix. So, but in terms of options for me, when you're doing options, since they're so leveraged, you really have to make sure that it is a good buy point or it is a good sell point. Right now, Netflix is kind of in the middle, so I wouldn't say today's necessarily a good day for options on Netflix. Unless you're someone who's like super experienced and you really know what you're doing, then yeah, you can always make some money one way or the other. But in terms of like, just doing a call, I wouldn't really call it as today being the best. TLRY is it a new player? It is gapping up pre-market, but it's just it's consolidated for the past couple days, and now it's just starting to break to the upside. So I do see it as a bullish move today on TLRY. Tesla is already gapping up today, so it's not that I think it's going to gap up more. Tesla already gapped up pre-market. And I might be wrong, I might really be wrong. And even if I am, I really could care less. So it might actually have a red day. Actually, to be honest, I kind of think it's most likely going to have a red day, but I'm keeping this bias that there might in fact be a long on it. I actually want to see Tesla go long today. But it is coming up to some areas of resistance. So I'm kind of, in other words, fighting the trend here, going against what most people would think. And part of the reason why I think it could be a good long is because we bounced pretty good on Friday, and then we had such an aggressive gap up today that, I think it's got possibility. But then the other thing is you could see the bounce on Friday as it should have bounced Friday. And then this gap up we're seeing today, you could also look at as a gap up to the next resistance to at least test that resistance level to make sure we don't want to go higher. So I could see this as a gap up straight into resistance areas where it's kind of just make sure we get up there and test those levels. But you can see right now it's starting to break to the upside right now currently. So it kind of doing just as we expected, starting to push to the upside. All right. Let's see. All right, guys. So that will yeah, so that kind of just covers my watch list there. All right, now I'm going to briefly discuss all the other stocks that are on my watch list real quick. So DLTR is one of them. If you look at DLTR, I believe DLTR is setting up for a long play. If you look at the 180-day 4-hour chart, you can see we had this big gap down from its earnings. Then we had a bounce. We pulled back. We put in a higher low, and it's starting to kind of break to the upside. So I would consider watching DLTR long today for maybe a $2 to $3 a share push or move. All right, so again, DLTR, I am long bias on today as it has a higher low setup from its gap down. Next one on the watch list that I had was, we have DLTR. We could put up Lululemon. So Lululemon I see as a potential long play. Lululemon gapping up from its earnings, pulled back, consolidated, held a strong support over 150. And as you can see right here, it is starting to break over that downward trend line resistance. So I do see this as a little mini, some would see it as a little mini bull flag or a little bit of a breakout to the upside on Lululemon. What's the next one we have? We did DLTR, we have Lululemon, CLDR. So CLDR earlier might have been looking a little bit better than it did now. The reason I kind of was just debating CLDR is because it's still pushing to the upside. If you look at it pre-market today, yeah, see it was pushing up pre-market and now it's kind of pulling back. So maybe scratch CLDR for now, or you can keep it on watch, but I guess kind of the play I was looking for might have just failed. So scratch that on CLDR. Next one here on the watch list that I was considering would be Cron. All right, so I would actually, I don't usually trade Cron. I trade it maybe like once or twice, but right, we have Cron when it had the high of $14.20, then it pulled back, and now it's just kind of consolidated. It's starting to trickle back up to this $12.50 resistance. If we can break over $12.50, we might see a strong push on Cron today. So just keep Cron on a long bias watch here over the $12.50 area. And you can see $12.50 is resistance. I mean, if I zoom in here, right, look at $12.50. At $12.50 is right here. We had a spike at $12.50, a breakout at $12.50, a breakdown at $12.50, resistance $12.50, resistance $12.50. So over $12.50 would be good in my opinion for a long bias trade there. Okay. Yeah, so that there, ladies and gentlemen, primarily covers my watch list. So I hope that helps you guys kind of determine what you might be trading today, or just kind of learn something new every day as you join in on these watch lists. Once again, I do appreciate all your guys' support. If you could give me a thumbs up before you head out, and if you haven't already subscribed before you head out, please do that as well. We do this every single day, Monday through Friday, pre-market watch list, and then also make sure to tune in. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So Friday, one second. Friday, I didn't get to posting our live trading recap video of our trading day because I pretty much messed everything up, for lack of better words. So on Friday, I ended up losing. My green streak is over. Today would be the start of a potential new streak. So we went 15 days straight without a loss, and then last Friday would have been the day that I lost. So on my 16th potential green day straight, I ended up losing a total of $500 altogether. So it was is what it is, right? I mean, I had a nice run, nice stretch, and then I lost 500, like 550, I think it was $553 on Friday. So it is what it is. Part of the reason why I didn't get around to uploading the video is because when I recorded the video, I wasn't recording the correct screen that I was trading on. So basically, there was no trades to be shown on the video because I wasn't recording the correct screen when I was making the video. So basically, you just see me talking about positions, though I'm never actually in a position, is what it looks like. So we didn't get to upload that, but I did in fact lose $553. So today will be the start of a, hopefully a new streak. If I had to kind of touch here a little bit, on, one second, let me drink some coffee. If I had to touch a little bit on the reason why I lost Friday, it was a battle. I'll tell you this, it was a really big struggle for me Friday. I just, for one, was not consistent at all in the morning. I did take some bigger share size, which then put me at a pretty big loss in the beginning of the day, which I ended up pretty much making all the way back. Still ended down $500. So I think what happened to me on Friday was a mix of being so good at trading for the past, to be quite honest, I think over the past, because I was on a 16-day green streak, and even before the 16-day green streak really started, I went to California in, last month was August, so let me see. I don't know. I went to California like 2 months ago, probably now, but I hadn't really been losing for almost 2.5 months straight. So basically for 2.5 months straight, I was like win, 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 small loss, win, 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 small loss, win, win, win. So over the past 2.5 months, I got I was doing very consistent, trading very well. And then I hit a 16-day green streak with no losses. And whether you like to believe it or not, and I'm not a psychology major. I didn't study the brain, so I couldn't give you maybe as good as an answer as some scientists could or someone who went to college for it. But I know as well as you guys do that the brain is a very complex thing. It's a very hard to understand organism, or whatever you want to call it, in our human body, right? And when you have emotions and you have all these thoughts going through your head, feelings, they can really distract you or kind of change the way that you would normally do things. So in the best way to put it, I think after that long streak of 16 days and then winning prior to that 16-day green streak for a long time, I got a little confident. I know there was a little confidence boost in there. And you eventually get to this point where you think I can't lose, right? I'm just too good to lose. And of course that's not the case. And I got a reality check Friday when I started my day off with a small loser, then a big loser, then another big loser. I was down Friday at one point $4,300, and then I was like, holy smokes, right? What happened? It's not that I'm any worse at trading. I'm still the same guy, but I was jumping the gun too quick, thinking, I've won 16 green day straights. Consistency's been rocking, right? So you're just starting to take trades, right? You just start taking the trades because your skill set's there. But even, if your skill set's there, but the setup isn't, you're not really going to win, or you'll come with a small loss or a small win, right? So I was just a little bit more trigger happy, really just guns blazing, without any thought to, the loss side of things. I hadn't had a loss in so long that loss wasn't even in the scope, right? It was win. That was it. So basically started off the beginning of the day down 4,300, and then took a break. And I didn't really want to trade. I did, but I didn't, because I'm telling myself, I'm like, wow, you're definitely not going green on the day. That's not my objective. I know that the green streak's over, right? But at this point, I'm like, really, what are you doing, right? You go 16 perfect days in a row for the most part, and then you come out and you just botch it to a $4,300 loss. I'm like, that's not you, right? So what are you doing, right? And then I sit back and I go and I start thinking to myself, well, maybe some overconfidence, not trading the way I normally would. So I took a break, really sat down. I was like, all right, you know what you got to do, right? So then I turned the screens back up, and I just sat there and I'm like, just wait, right? Wait until something really shows you its face, right? And then go in and smash it. And that's what I did. I took another 4 or 5 trades after that, and I just nailed a bunch of winners right after that. And then I brought myself down to about a $500 loss on the day. And at that point, I told myself, that's good. If you want to keep pushing it, you can, but there's no guarantee your next one's a win. And if your next one's a loss, what are you down 1,000 now? And you're just going to keep racking on commission to that. So bring it down to 500, call it. You did a great job. In my book, that is almost a win because you were down so big and you recovered so greatly. And it's not very easy for many to do that. So even though it really is a loss, it is a win in my book to really sit down and evaluate yourself effectively to the point where you could come back in and understand what you were doing wrong and kind of fixed that. So I do expect today I will have a green day because of that almost big loss Friday. Every once in a while, you kind of, the way I look at it too, guys, is like almost once in a while, all good traders and all great traders, whether not good or, any trader in general, right? I do honestly think that the big red days or just red days in general, as much as they suck, they are healthy for a trader because it's kind of like a stock, right? So if you think about a stock, right, and stock price, it's going up, it keeps going up. Eventually gets to a point where it's just like it can't sustain that, right? It can't sustain that euphoric good feeling, and it can't just keep going for forever, right? So the stock price will naturally pull back, and though nobody really ever wants to see a stock come down, we all know it's inevitable, but we all know at the same time those pullbacks are healthy and they're well needed sometimes. And then what that stock price does when it pulls back, it kind of puts the stock back into like a normal place, right? It's back to where it should be. Now buyers will come back in. They start seeing it as a good buy again. It's kind of pulled back. It's consolidated. It's figured out what it wants to do, and now it's ready to go for its next run, right? And that's the way I see my losses and or how any trader should look at their losses in the game of trading is, it's natural, it's going to happen, and how much you let it affect you is all on you. But I don't let the red days affect me like I used to. And nowadays I look at them more of as a healthy, well-needed, healthy, well-needed thing that's going to happen in your trading. Now that I've had my loss after this green streak, it was almost really big. It put it into perspective of just, you can't always win and you won't always win. And when you start having these nice days, you just got to take a step back, reevaluate, and tell yourself you're still human. You can still make mistakes. And it's better to either just take, no trades or some small trades. Don't get trigger happy. So that red day there for me almost being 4.3K really kind of humbled you, put me back into perspective of what I'm here to do, and that is I'm here to trade consistent. We don't need to make $1 trillion every single day, and that right there helps you kind of get back into the right mindset of a trader rather than a winner, right? It's nice to win, but you can't always be winning, and so that red day for me is like a pullback, right? It's a little pullback setting me up for a bull flag ready to go again, right? So anyways, that is all I have for you today. It is 9 o'clock. I'm going to get back to my private group. You guys, I don't know. I got to find like a nice like outro, right? I got to find something to say as I like peace out of here, but I don't know anything. I'm not that snazzy, right? So anyways, I guess I'll just see you guys all tomorrow morning or something, or for the video later today. So anyways, guys, have a good day. Stay green. Hopefully, again, you don't have to rush it. Don't have to get super trigger happy like I did Friday. Just play the game as it's supposed to be played, and you should be all right, right? So I'll see you guys all here a little bit, well, not really technically tomorrow, but I'll have a video for you today. So anyways, guys, take care and have a green day.